Senator Garba, you have something to add?
Thank you very much, the President of the Senate and distinguished colleague. I rise to support this motion on this very important issue of our children's education. Sir, the university is a place where young minds are molded. And if we didn't give them the enabling environment where they can think freely instead of going on strike, I think we are doing disservice to this country. I was in one of the universities cited in Zuru. We had to raise money to feed the staff of that university for 2 years before they were captured. I was at a convocation at the University of Jos. First-class brains were produced. The VC said this is the challenge of IPPIS. I would love to retain these people today, but I can't. I strongly support this motion that the Senate should intervene in this matter, find out what is the reality so that our children can have best of education, sir. I so submit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Garba. I think that closes this chapter. But it has the only problem here is that let me get somebody who has had experience in payment of salaries and disbursements to universities to throw a little light before we go into the prayers. Distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo, former Accountant General of the Federation, what went wrong?
Your Excellency, my name is Ibrahim Dan Kwambo, representing Gombe North. IPPIS, Your Excellency, is one of the initiatives and reforms program of the federal government from 2003 to date. And I have been privileged to chair the implementation of IPPIS. Before IPPIS, salaries of the federal government are paid through allocation. Allocation in the budget in the sense that Ministry A is given any amount, B is given any amount, C any amount. And that is how it goes. And there were a lot of leakages and there were a lot of loopholes. So the federal government decided to centralize the payment to make sure that each kobo that goes out of the treasury is accounted for. And that was exactly how the IPPIS implementation started. So 1 million license was acquired to register 6 ministries. And when we started the data capture in 2007, by the time we finish the 6 ministries, less than 1/10 of the license that was acclaimed or assumed to would have been utilized was used. So, and the expansion and the enrollment continued. By the time I left as Accountant General in 2010, we had not finished utilizing the licenses. So maybe one of the challenges might be in the acquisition of more license to capture more people. But I must say, as at that time, the federal government has saved billions of naira. It's one of the best reform programs of federal government that was praised and appreciated by everybody. Secondly, because the implementation was in phases, when it reached the term of the universities, like somebody said, that the university can employ any number of people they wanted to employ and just pass the bill to the federal government. The IPPIS is integrated personnel and payroll. Personnel. So there must be adequate record. You cannot just wake up and say you will employ. You cannot just wake up and say you will dismiss. You cannot just wake up and say you can do increment or do this thing and do, not in a structured personnel management system. And those are the issues that has been lingering between ASUU and the federal government. I think these are entirely a different thing. Maybe there are more things that happen between ASUU and federal government. But in this matter, like you said, it is not the problem of the technology IPPIS, but it's more of the problem of people that are implementing the technology. Of course, if you are getting press and you want to be enrolled quickly, some people will go behind and do anything. So that allegation may be correct. And anywhere, any human management system that can give you money or that gives money, and if you are not careful, people may be tempted to take advantage of that system. So I think it's more of the technology. It's not of the technology, but of the people. So I support, as a pioneer promoter of this program, that it should be investigated so that appropriate measures can be put in place to ensure that Nigeria continue to benefit. Frauds are eliminated or minimized, and ensure efficiency in the payment of wages and salary in Nigeria. I so submit, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we look at the prayers. Prayer 1, set up an ad hoc committee to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption of IPPIS officials at various universities across the nation, delayed capturing and payment of staff of federal government-owned universities who were recruited as far back as 2020, and to make a report on the status of the disagreement between the federal government and ASUU on the use of either the IPPIS or UTAS as the preferred payment platform for Nigerian university staff. Any comments or any? Yes, Deputy Senate President, you want to?
Yes, before I make my amendment, let me just say one thing. Let me commend Senator Nkwambu for giving a very, very elaborate explanation, because it would be unfair.
Use your campaign voice.
Okay, sorry. Let me be frank, it would be unfair of me to be here without saying something about this issue, because I was once a chairman of Tertiary Education and Third Fund, and I know that there was a very big problem between the federal government and ASUU. Why was that? Why? And I think the problem has not yet been solved, because they believe that they need to have their own system, different from IPPIS, because they feel IPPIS does not take cognizance of their own peculiarities. And that has been the argument. It's not about corruption or whatever, because they feel theirs is a different arrangement altogether, and they ought to have their own system that will go in tandem with their operations. That's the argument, and up to now it has not been solved. Number 2, IPPIS is all about making sure that we do not spend money that we don't need to spend, that others don't steal our money. And it's been working very well. And even the delays that we're experiencing as we speak, I'm talking from the point of view or from what I garnered when I was chairman of the Operation Committee, because we've been having enlarged personnel, provision in our budget year in, year out. So the federal government warned the Accountant General Office and in fact the Ministry of Finance that, look, we need to make sure that we don't have an increase every year in our personnel provision in the budget. And so there was a stringent arrangement that was brought to play that anything that we need to go to the IPPIS, the budget office must give approval, Accountant General must give approval, and so on and so forth. So that's why you have these delays, and it is for the good of the country. So let us be informed as to what is happening. And I think, second and ad hoc committee to look at this issue, we know this issue already. This matter should be allowed. If there's anything, when we have a standing committee on education,
So you're amending the first prayer?
Something based on what I've said. Let me go to the amendment. That this prayer 1, it is said on an ad hoc committee that the matter should be referred to the standing committee one constituted look at the matter. So I so move.
Seconder, yes, Senator Mbigi.
Mr. President, I stand to second the motion that when our standing committee is set up, this matter be handled by them.
Thank you. A motion has been, the first prayer has been amended, motion moved and seconded, that the standing committee on tertiary education should be urged to look into this issue, investigate the allegations herein, with a view to bringing the report back to this distinguished hallowed chamber. Those in support of this amendment say aye. Those against say nay. Prayer 1 is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education. Yes, you take it as additional prayer. Prayer 2, mandate the Tertiary Education Committee of the Senate to interact with the head of service, National President of ASUU, the Chairman of Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities, and other relevant stakeholders in carrying out its mandate, and to report back within the 2 weeks when the committee is constituted. Those in support of the second prayer as amended. Prayer 1 has taken care of this. Okay, so yes, any further prayer? Senator, no, it's Senator Sani that was saying that he has Senator Sani, take it as additional prayer so that we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, Niger East. Actually, I wanted to amend the first, because when you said allegation of bribery and corruption, that is where I see we should have.
Yeah, so long as it's allegation, it doesn't matter the next thing that follows. It's not proven. Distinguished Senator Omai.
Mr. President, I wanted to amend that the second motion be stepped down, which you have noted.
The second prayer is already noted, and that has been done. So let me thank distinguished Senator Patrick Ifeanyi for this all-important motion, and also thank my distinguished colleagues for your contributions, and to say that yes, indeed, when the final report of the investigation comes before the Senate, I will be very glad to look into them, because the issues are very germane. They touch on the lives of future generation. Because when we do not put the educational system right, it means that we'll be increasing insecurity in the system in future because of the kind of products that will come out from the various universities. When the teachers are not happy, when the lecturers are not happy, their output will also be limited, and this will impede the growth of education in the country. I thank you so much. Leader of the Senate.